My name is Veronica Munguia, and I'm currently assigned to Southeast Patrol Investigations. I've been on the department for 10 years. I've been with Patrol Investigations for 4. I felt like I was called to do this when I was growing up. One of my brothers got into some trouble. It was at a young age. I witnessed what it did to my family. If I can have an impact on one person's life, I felt like that was good enough for me. I got diagnosed with a rare blood disease when I was 13 years old. Growing up, I had a lot of challenges, actually. I was told that I couldn't have kids. But I got pregnant and I had one daughter. She's a miracle. She's a miracle baby. After pregnancy, they said, hey, because of the complications with the pregnancy, you're probably gonna need a kidney transplant in the near future. So I went to the doctor like normal, and he's like, hey, your kidneys are failing and they're under 20%. Do you have any siblings that can spare a kidney? And I looked at the doctor, I'm like, really? You're gonna ask me to ask my siblings? He's like, yeah, why not? That's a huge ask. I went home and told my family, like, hey, this is what the doctor said. I need to get a kidney transplant. My sister's like, I'll do it. I'm like, no, you won't. But she's like, no, I'll do it. At the time, I was like praying that she wasn't a match, because you have to go through the testing process. They called me, they're like, hey, she's a match, pick a day. I didn't tell anybody. For me, it was more of not, I guess it felt like I was asking for help, and I didn't want to ask for help, and I didn't want anybody to feel bad for me. I feel like for police officers, you kind of don't really ask for help when you should be asking for help. You try not to make yourself vulnerable. Right after briefing, I was like, hey, Sarge, next month I have to get a kidney transplant, so I'm gonna go FMLA. And he was kind of like blown away. He's like, you're gonna just tell me this as we're casually walking? He's like, what are you gonna do financially? And I was like, I'll figure it out. He's like, what do you mean you'll figure it out? I'm like, well, we're a really close-knit family, so we'll figure it out as a family. I was like, hey, I'm going on vacation. I'm going to take my daughter to Disneyland. I was gone for my days off and like an extra day, so I was gone for 4 or 5 days. And when I came back, they're like, hey, we raised X amount of dollars and here you go. One Behind the Blue kind of stepped up and helped. For me, it was just more of like a relief. I needed a caregiver. My sister needed a caregiver. It definitely helped with take some financial burden away. And my family wasn't expecting it, and they were like, hey, I can't believe this happened. Like, it was like a miracle. You think of it like we didn't ask for it, and something like this just happened. Behind the Blue, what they did is they also reached out to Arizona, and they did like meal drop-offs. So they had officers' families from Arizona scheduled to drop off like a meal. You kind of build a relationship with them. You're like, oh, they really do care about you, There's still caring people out there. From my understanding, I was the first big project that helped raise a lot of money in a short time frame. I just asked my mom, like, hey, can you like make food for the station? So she made tamales. So she made food, and I was like, hey, Mom, but it wasn't just one squad that donated money. It was like, can we do this for the station? So Behind the Blue kind of like pushed it out to the department. And it was just like, hey, I know it's not a lot, but I'm Hispanic, and for our culture, it's like, hey, if I can't help you financially, then I can feed you. So I was just like, hey, Mom, a lot of people like tamales, so can you make tamales? So she made it for day shift, swing shift, and graveyard. It's not about the dollar amount. It's just something about like knowing that people have your back.